Welcome back to the Loveland Report and Loner Ranger Show. I am Cleve Loveland. We've been digging into what's going on in the market. Is this the bottom? Good numbers and bad numbers, sales numbers, and have we hit bottom? We'll talk a little bit more about that this segment, and then I want to dig into Bruce. I got a couple listings real quick. I got a 3,100 square footer in Bay Hill, South Bay, and just beautiful house. Most of the homes are $1.2 million, $1.1 million, and up. They're golf front. They're $2 million. And this house is at 989, beautiful, 3,200 square feet. The bones are there. Needs a little bit of updating, but Turkish travertine floors, pool, corner lot with circular driveway, tile roof. So you're in good shape there. And it's a great one. So
that's Bay Hill. That's premium property.
It is. And it's premium Dr. Phillips. And then I want to talk about a builder I met the other day. And I hooked you up with them too. Hardison Homes got some great townhome communities around Central Florida, and also has a community located in St. Cloud, townhomes in the high threes, but they're 4 bedrooms, Bruce. Most townhomes are not 4 bedrooms. They're a little larger. They're not the 1,500 square foot you see that's like a little cracker box.
Right.
And they got two great 4-bedroom plans, one with the master down. It's an end unit, starts in the 3s. The features are great. You're all tile, you're all quartz or granite. And just a beautiful community. Stop by, call me, and I'll hook you up with Jessica Realtors. They do co-broke, of course. There are some builders out there. I don't know what they're thinking. They don't co-broke, so obviously they don't sell any homes. And you got to pay your realtors if you want them to come sell your homes.
If anybody doesn't co-broke, they're a fool.
Yep. And so we got a boutique-style neighborhood with just 34 townhomes. And you financed a whole community right next to this one in St. Cloud off Jack Brack Road. All that growth out there. They call it St. Nona, because it's just south of Lake Nona, but without the high taxes and without the high prices. Literally, you cross the county line, everything shoots up like 80 grand for the same house. And not that Lake Nona's bad, but this is an affordable option. So
Lake Nona's great. It's just, it's hard to get in there for under $1 million.
They got 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, and they got 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, oversized kitchens with islands, elongated lanais across the back porch. Sometimes you have these 12 by 12 back porches. So great community there. Call me. I'll put you in touch with Jessica out at Terra Haven Townhomes, or they've got 4 other communities around Central Florida. Hardison Homes, a new builder on the scene past couple of years, and they're doing great. Yeah. And then Bruce, how are your builders doing?
I was out at Trinity the other day, and they're offering to pay all your closing costs. They'll do rate buy downs. They'll do all kinds of things. It was interesting because I got a phone call from a past client of mine just last week, and he said, Bruce, I've been talking to this builder. It was not Trinity. It was another builder, we'll call it. And he said they were offering him $18,000 in closing costs, but they were having trouble approving him without selling his current residence, which is not that uncommon.
Yeah.
So I looked at it and I went, I can make that deal work.
Yep.
So I said, well, how committed are you to using this builder? Because the builder wasn't going to pay his closing costs if he didn't go to their lender.
Yep.
So I said, well, wait a minute. I got a Trinity community right down the street from where you are.
Yeah.
Would you at least go look at this house? He goes, of course I would, Bruce.
Yeah.
He went there on the weekend and bought that. He goes, better house, bigger house, less money. And they paid almost twice as much in terms of closing costs.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was a deal breaker. So I took him from something Martin.
Well, that's why I send you I call them
Trinity,
my orphans. Yeah. You rescue a deal a month for me.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So it's just about getting it done, knowing how to do it. And I guarantee you the clerk at the nationwide lender for the nationwide builder does not know how to do that. No. They just don't. They're reading off a screen.
They couldn't even figure out how to put the deal together. So not only if they would have told this client, you can use your own lender, that's fine. We know who Bruce is. I'm sure your loan will go just perfect.
Yep.
But they didn't. You know what? They lost the whole deal because of it too.
Yep.
So listen, don't think because you're going to these builders that it's the best deal, because it's not always the best.
I just had one, and this is somebody using this is one of the online lenders you rail against and how ridiculous they are. I had a gentleman, very good income, $1 million home, $100,000, $150,000 mortgage left on it. And buying again at, like, let's say it's 800,000, he's putting down over 30% or 25%, and they would not do the deal unless he paid off the first home. I said, that's ridiculous. your old interest rate is 3%. You're going to rent the home out. You're going to cash flow like a mother,
Right.
and just do awesome cash flow, like
Yes.
over $4,000 a month. And I said, or that's about 3,500 a month, but still. And they wanted him to pay off the old mortgage at 3%. I said, go back to them and ask them this. He couldn't change the loan where he was at in the process. He was closing like in a week. I said, throw that 150 grand down on the other loan. So you're like 40% down or 35%
That's
down.
right.
And he did that. And they go, huh, let me check. And they called him back, they had to check with a supervisor. It's
Oh,
just
good
so ridiculous.
gracious.
I can't say enough about don't call the call center. If you're in a call center, get out. It's like that old movie. Get out.
I'm always here to help you folks. Call me at 407-250-9144. I've been doing mortgages for over 35 years, and I'm right here in your backyard. And even if you don't use my services, I'm here to help you.
Yep.
And here's what I mean by that. Look, there are going to be cases where you could go to a builder and they do a builder rate buy down that I cannot compete with because the builder is paying outside of closing to buy this down. And oftentimes the only way they can do that is to use the mortgage that they've already got in place for that house. And I can't compete. I will tell you, you know what? That's a good deal. Stay with that builder.
Yeah.
I will tell you
I
that.
tell people that sometimes too. They call me about their realtor and I talk about what's going on. Sometimes they just need to be reassured. I had a gentleman called me and listens to the radio show and says, I wish I would have chosen you. It's been 90 days. And I asked him about his activity. I said, look, you're close. You just did the right thing. He had just adjusted his market position. He's just unhappy because he wasn't getting calls back and he hears from his realtor once a month instead of once a week like you do if you're listed with me. I told him, I said, hey, you're close. And he called me back saying, hey, I did get a contract. It took another week or so, but you were. And I'm not looking to, like I said, I'm a planner, real estate planner. I don't want the deal right now if it's not the right thing for you. And maybe renting the home is the right thing. Maybe renting it for more.
You and I know that if you rent your home and you have if you keep your home and you got a 3%, 3.5%, 4% interest rate on it, you're definitely going to be better off in the future if you can keep that home. Now, some people can't. They don't qualify with 2 mortgages.
Yep.
Or they can't get enough rent for it.
Yep.
Or they've got to have.
That's why you and I have jobs,
down.
because everybody's different. They can't
Everyone's
just plug in some holes, some data entry on the computer and get it. You can't ask Chat GPT, can I get this loan?
Yeah.
In fact, that'd be funny to listen to. That would really crack me up. But if you need help, Bruce and I are the guys to do it. Call me at 407-352-8118. And Bruce, I'm going to have to jump out after this segment, but I want to jump into time and money.
Yeah, talk about it.
And this is where, when you're selling or buying,
because time is money.
Is it the right time for you to sell? Sometimes I look at it and I'll say, hey, you got a builder down the street. He's on his last 10 homes. He's selling 3 a month.
Let him finish up.
Let's go 4 months and get his deals closed. And he's gone. His sales office is gone with balloons and flags every weekend, competing against you. Let's do that. Let's wait. Or no, you're a year off. You got a 15-year, or you've been paying on this mortgage for 12 years.
Right.
And let's keep this, another year, you'll make another 50 grand. I can usually predict that for people, give them a range. Or yes, let's get it on the market now. You're strapped. You have no income left over after you pay your bills. It's time to it's time to downsize. I help people with these things all the time. And I see some sellers not getting the right advice on that. Buyers, the main thing with time and money and buyers, get in now, get back to work. These people that let a realtor drag them around for 150 days, looking at 15 houses every weekend, the stress, and they almost get into, Stockholm syndrome, where they're just used to spending their weekend with Sally, and Sally's not a closer. And Sally didn't say, hey, those 2 you looked at last weekend sold. You guys need to write. These check all the boxes, get into it. And buyers, I rarely see a buyer who waits make more money. If you take away if you discount for the stress of not being at your job and the stress of wondering where your family's going to be, or the pressure, or if you're living with the in-laws because your house sold 6 months ago, it's time to choose a new realtor.
It's like you doing your own major renovation
or your own surgery.
Own surgery.
Yeah. And then, on rentals, what I'll see is people asking too much. And I just had somebody, the property manager had not raised rent over the past 8 years. Bless you, on a tenant. 8 years on a tenant, had not raised the rent once.
Can you believe
manager should be like relegated back to their other full-time job and not be in real estate. That's literally by definition, you are managing that property. The purpose of management is to make more money on it and protect the investment.
Agreed.
Same thing is, we got a house up for rent for $3,900 and it doesn't get applications in the first week or so. You need to drop it. And that's the market absorption rate on rentals is usually 1 to 2 weeks. If you didn't rent, somebody else around you did, or you're just asking too much, or the house is in bad shape. So all of these things come into play when I make a real estate plan for somebody. And it's 407-352-118 for Loveland Properties. And I'll be happy to help you out with your real estate plan. And I got to jump Bruce offers, and I actually got to go show a couple houses.
All right.
Team.
Well, so we've got a lot of things to talk about. First of all, thank you, Cleve. And I got this covered for the next few minutes here. We've got about 3 minutes left in this segment, and then I'll run with the last segment. And thanks, Cleve. If you are looking to purchase home or sell a home, Cleve Loveland, the voice of real estate here in Orlando, 407-352-8118. He's got lots of experience, got great buyer's agents. And to be honest with you, when I'm buying or selling houses, that's the guy I'm going to go to. So 407-352-8118 for Cleve Loveland. And if you'd like to talk to the Lone Ranger, you can reach me now at 407-250-9144 or go to webringyouhome.com. I wanted to talk a little bit about who's buying properties in this market, because first-time home buyers seem to be waiting. Now, Cleve talked about it earlier. The fact of the matter is that waiting only costs you money. But you know what? You can only convince somebody so much. They're just going to sit on the sidelines until they feel like it's right. Now, you know when most people jump in? When everybody jumps in. And if you're waiting for everyone to jump in, I want to talk to you about the downside to that. So right now, I think is a premium time for buyers to buy. Why? Because not as many buyers are buying, and it gives you more options. It gives you more properties to choose from. It gives you more properties to choose from. It gives you a opportunity to negotiate. It gives you ability to get repairs finished. It gives you all kinds of things that you can do that are going to give you an opportunity to get in the market. Because if you wait for interest rates to drop, then you're going to jump in when everybody else is jumping in. So what are you going to get then? You know what you're going to get? Excuse me, ma'am, but we're only accepting offers with 20% down on conventional loans. And we're going to check your credit score. And by the way, you're going to have to waive the appraisal, and you're going to have to waive the home inspection. And you're going to have to waive this and waive that. If you wait for that, you are going to cost yourself more money. So now is the time to get in. Look at, you know, the old saying, marry the house, date the rate. Marry the house, date the rate. If you wait for interest rates to drop, you are going to find out then that you have a different problem. Yeah, your payments are going to be lower because your interest rates are going to be lower, but you paid more, and then you just offset the price of the lower payment. Otherwise, you could buy the home right now, and then you could just refinance it later. Bruce Woodburn, Cross Country Mortgage, 407-250-9144 or webringyouhome.com. That's webringyouhome.com. I'll be back in 5 minutes with more of the Loveland Report and the Lone Ranger Show. Also, Cleve Loveland can be reached at 407-352-8118. When we come back, I want to talk about the opportunity to see if the Fed is going to drop the Fed rate. And I want to talk a little bit more about solar panels and DSCR loans, because those are the hot topics right now. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back with more of the Loveland Report and the Lone Ranger Show. Again, 407-250-9144 or webringyouhome.com.